and welcome to our Morning Throners podcast.
I'm Nelson.
I'm Jeff.
And I'm Kyle.
And we are your Morning Throners. And welcome back to another episode of your favorite Song of Ice and Fire podcast. We are your Morning Throners, and we got Arya 2 on deck. Gentlemen, how we doing?
Yeah. I'm excited to see what you guys think about this one. I feel it's kind of different to how a lot of the chapters have been recently, and we've had some very differing opinions.
Well, let's bring it in to Kyle.
A lot of nothing happened, and then at the end something happened.
Oh boy, another one.
That's a Jeff. No, I'm sorry.
You've had that opinion a few recently.
That has been the last two, and to be fair,
I like the last.
This one was even. Wow.
I like this one too, Jeff.
I don't think this one was as bad of a 22-page read.
Was this a long one?
22 pages.
My iPad font got fucked up, so the pages are different sizes, so I can't tell relative to each other how long
Kyle
they are.
had to read it from my screenshot phone. That had to be brutal.
It wasn't too bad, thankfully.
Yeah.
There were two that came through out of order, so that got a little goofy. But
that's not good.
No, it wasn't your fault. It was just, and the page numbers were on every picture, so it was easy. It was. I thought it was cool to this is Bravos, right? This is the first kind of experience over here. She's been a slow burn for a while, and the fact that she hasn't really shown up in this one, and then now she's back, and you get kind of this, I don't know, strange insight into where she is, this House of the Black and White. I feel like I'm trying to think of who might have said it. Who was Brienne with? Brienne was with
Podrick.
Nimbledick.
Yeah. I was trying to draw a parallel between these people are kind of, this house seems to give mercy by assisted suicide almost, right? And
yeah, that's what it seems like.
And I'm trying to think of where I thought I had a parallel to one of the other chapters we just read. Somebody else was doing that or thinking they were good, essentially.
Well, I think you might be remembering the first Arya chapter, because the first Arya chapter, I forgot exactly what we learned in that one, so I went back and I listened to the last 10 minutes of our podcast from that one. And basically that was your take, is you're this is a very religious hospice center is kind of what you were saying about this place. So you might just be remembering your take of the initial taste of this place last time.
Yeah, I feel like it was another character trying to make a similar point in one of the previous ones, but I honestly I've lost the thought at this point. So
was there something about just giving mercy? Maybe
it might have been the Arya in that chapter. Yeah, something like that, where it's give him, like you said, kill him. Maybe it was Darkstar. Maybe it was saying so. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm like I said, I can't think of it exactly.
Well, and Arya's kind of had this theme of mercy throughout her story, even before getting here. It's definitely something we brought up in the spoiler section. So, for example, when she's with the Hound at one point, they come across a dying man, and he's like, "Just kill me," and the Hound kills him. He's like, "That's where the heart is," right? So that's kind of teaching this lesson on a small scale that Arya can understand in person before she gets to the place where we kind of worship that. So I guess the synopsis of this chapter is we're kind of flirting around it. It's the first full chapter of Arya at whatever we call it, the House of the Black and White, the many-faced God, the faceless man.
She calls it the House of Black and White. I think we've heard that before too, right? Outside of the city.
I think that's what Bravos call it. The people of Bravos call it.
Exactly. So pretty much we kind of learn their ways, a little bit of their history, and then at the very end, Arya kind of gets sent out on her first mission. So Kyle was saying it's kind of cool to be in Bravos. We're not really. We're in Bravos.
Yeah,
but
I would say we haven't seen Bravos yet. Well, I mean, we did kind of float through it.
We
when
got a
she
lot
got
of it in the first chapter, which Jeff hated, but yeah.
I hated the first one.
Yeah, go figure. So what did you think about this one, Jeff?
Jeff calls Feast for Crows 5 out of 5, hates every chapter within it.
I don't know.
As a whole,
I don't think he's ever claimed Feast was his favorite book.
I don't think I ever gave a rating. If I did, this one would probably be the lowest. I just like the mystery around this place. This is fucking... It's kind of like every chapter, this is the chapter in, the tower. What's the tower in Karth called?
Oh, the House of the Undying.
Yeah. It's I'm gonna go through this door and something weird is gonna be back in here. You just I like that, but who the fuck are these people?
Yeah.
Why is this girl a 36-year-old child? That guy had a worm out of his face last time we saw him. There's just a lot of mystery here that I think it's not suspenseful, right? And I've read the chapter, so it's not like I'm reading it on the edge of my seat, but.
Well, again, we're getting to the part where some of this stuff is who knows how much of this we still have answers on. Even the House of the Undying, where Dany was in Clash of Kings, a lot of that we're still what does that mean? What's up with the Warlocks? Are we ever going to see that again? Does that mean anything? And what I think is kind of interesting about the House of Black and White is there's definitely something, right? They're kind of like Melisandre, where she did have a shadow baby. So maybe not all of her magic is magic, and maybe there's some smoke and mirrors, but there's something there. And like these guys are kind of the same. We're like, okay,
she did give birth to a
that
shadow
dude
baby.
did climb a flaming ladder into the sky, right? Like that. Yeah. Like,
so like there are some things where maybe this guy is just good at like looking at Arya's twitches and know when she's lying. But like I guess as a reminder, when she first got here, the one thing that I think that he kind of shouldn't be able to know is he knows her name. She gives him all these fake names, and he's like, "Nope, keep trying. Nope, keep trying." And he's like, "Okay, there you go." When she gets to Arya, so it's like, how does this guy know
but
her
at the
real
same
name?
time, he could have just figured out from the twitches, knowing the tells, that she finally got to the true name.
That's
but
true.
At the same point, he definitely there's something about him.
Mhm.
I'm not trying to write that off.
Well, and at just point, he did have a skull face with a worm coming out that dissolved when Arya grabbed it. So even if he is just a good face reader, he had a weird
There's still
skull.
some,
Yeah.
still
He's got
some weird
something
shit going on.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
cool. Let's jump into it.
So jumping in, Arya is saying her prayer. She just thinks about it. She says it every night still. And she says it at more times. It sounds like they have a daily morning prayer too, where she keeps that one to herself. But this one she actually says out loud. And the kindly man wants to know what she's doing. What she's saying those names for.
Yeah, I think just like taking a step back and looking at this like kind of like a meta level, like George is kind of awesome, right? Arya's been saying this prayer of people she wants dead to herself, again, probably since Clash of Kings time, early Clash of Kings time. Halfway through Clash of Kings, she's been adding Valor Morghulis to the end, doesn't even know what it means. And really, the whole time she's been praying all these names, saying all men must die at the end. And where does she end up? At a death cult.
At the place where
that's like their slogan.
That's their
right,
their
like,
brand.
That's some thematic weaving of George. And like I said, even the mercy theme that has popped up a few times beforehand.
I'm gonna have to break from you on the George genius here. She knows the words Valor Morghulis because of this.
Well, she
cult.
knows it now, but I'm saying when she first started adding it to the end of her list of prayers, like that was at a moment in a spoiler section where you didn't even know what that meant, but Jeff and I are like,
wasn't Jaqen saying it to her though? Like,
yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Jaqen
Jaqen was
gave
the one
it
that
to
taught
her.
it to her.
sure, okay, so you
yeah.
can assume it's like potentially death related.
Like let's say this: he wrote Arya with the end in mind of her getting to this spot, right? Like
that I don't know.
Do you teach her Valar Morghulis without her ending up at the house that is the brand?
Yeah, well, exactly. That's why I think it's part of the genius. Is like it shows that he had some of it planned out.
Thought a book out type of thing. Or?
Well, that's 2 books. It really impresses me when it's two books ahead. That's
fair.
1,500 fucking pages.
But again, like I agree, he's a psycho. Like his mind is either crazy or he's got like a corkboard of like crazy plot timeline stuff. But if you know you're going 9 books deep or whatever he had dreamed, like you gotta, like, I don't know, if you could write 4 and then like, oh, the 5th one will just come to me, but like maybe that's why it takes 15 years to put out
it's pretty obvious when that happens, I think. So I think that's fair still, Nelson. He obviously had direction with her from the beginning. I thought you were kind of saying more than that, but I get where you're coming from for sure.
Yeah, I just think it's like cool to like look at like for you as a first time reader, you can be like, oh, this was kind of planned. Like these seeds have been planted for a long time. Yeah.
This is your way of bringing me into early spoiler sections.
I guess
is what you're trying to do here.
Bit,
and so I follow. Yeah. Cool.
So I guess we haven't actually heard this list in a while. The other thing I was going to add when we were kind of doing our intro section, just like a general thing about Arya, why it feels weird, why we're talking so much is because in the last one, there's at least 12 Arya chapters in Storm of Swords. There might be more, 13, maybe. Probably 13.
This is 2. We're halfway in.
Well, exactly. Number 2, we're halfway through the book. So, like, we're trying to. There's a lot, and like months have passed, right? So a lot is packed into this.
This
chapter,
is a long chapter too. Yeah.
But yeah. So the list:
Sir Gregor, Dunson, Raff the Sweetling, Sir Ilyn, Sir Meryn, Queen Cersei.
Yep. One of these guys, Gregor, like she just doesn't know about it yet.
Is he alive?
His skull's being sent to Dorne.
He was screaming. Now he's not screaming anymore.
She can't hear it. Yeah, she can't hear from here in Bravos.
So
she had some updates.
Catelyn was like, "Are you trying to like? Is this your list of people to kill? Like, if that's so, you're at the wrong place here. We don't choose that. The many-faced God chooses who dies."
Yeah. So she actually whispers this, right? It's not like she prays it in her mind. She whispers this out loud, which. So yeah, it's weird that this guy knows, but to me, this just tells me it's like King's Landing walls. They got styrofoam walls in her room, and someone's out there listening.
But again, like if she did it for a month, like at some point, just like when she's playing with Nita, like someone at some point is going to hear, right?
Yeah,
probably.
Yeah, well, I mean, she's doing it with the door open. It seems like the waif walked by.
Yeah, so someone just walked by, like, what the fuck you saying names for?
Yeah.
Well, she doesn't seem too worried about it because nobody else speaks her language for the most part, too.
Yeah, I'm taking that with a grain of salt too.
That's fair. They're just pretending not to. Yeah, she said she thought the 2 people were deaf totally until she heard him like praying one time.
I would say that, Jeff, you're probably right. There's probably more than just this guy, but I don't think they all do. I think being where they are here, I think there's a chance that people don't know this other language.
Yeah, it's possible for sure.
But I wouldn't put it past more of them to know it, for sure.
So she talks about all the people that are working or serving in this house as well. You got the kindly men. You got the waif.
One sec. When he asked her about the list, he's like, "What's up with this list?" And she's like, "Oh, nothing." And he's basically like, "Oh, you're lying."
That's his line throughout this whole thing.
Yeah,
right?
she just
Like,
keeps
that's
calling
part
him
of this-
out.
Yeah.
Yep. And here's what he says: "All men lie when they're afraid. Some tell many lies, some but a few. Some have only one great lie they tell so often they almost come to believe it. Though some small part of them will always know it is still a lie, and that will show upon their faces. Tell me of these names." And then it says she chewed her lip, and she tells him that the names don't matter. I just think this is funny because he literally just says, "Everyone will lie, and it'll show on her face." And the line for Arya is, she chewed her lip. The names don't matter. So it's like,
so she's obviously lying to him.
Exactly.
So we're getting the insight into that. I kind of missed that. So good point.
It's not every time that he calls her out on a lie. It says she chews her lip, but there's like 2 or 3 times with the chapter where it's like he's talking about like being able to control your face, and she's like biting her tongue or something like that.
She's very obviously not.
Yeah,
Well, I mean, she's also 8,
10. She thinks she's 10. She's not quite sure.
Okay. That's in the chapter. I'm dumb. Sorry. Anyway, so the kindly man, she refers to him as a priest in black and white at some point here, I think, right?
Yep.
Is he a priest?
It's not clear. It seems like she's treating him and the waif as the 2 priests, is what she's calling.
Like, are they the highest level of people at this house?
Yeah.
Which I guess if she's thinking it's a house of gods, that's a priest or a septon. Like
Understood.
Yeah.
I guess because she kind of gets into some stuff about the priests, like in general and stuff later, but then she's calling him the kindly man for a lot of this, not the priest. So it's kind of one of those things I wasn't sure. It seemed kind of to try and fit into this black and white thing and like the many faces and right, like because like you don't really know who any of these people are. It's kind of what the writing felt like in this chapter.
That's why it gets confusing, and I don't know if it's confusing, but that's why they go by kindly man and waif. And later there are some people that shows up, and she's like, "Are they all other priests? Like, is Jaqen a priest?" She asks him this. Like, there's like 6 other people. So there might be other people that are priests, right? But the 2 that she thinks that are priests
these are the ones assigned to her.
Exactly. But even those guys, she's like the fat fellow and the handsome man. It's because if she were to be like, "Who are you?" They'd be like, "No one." Right? Is kind of is how I. That's why they're going by
for sure.
Names,
They don't have names.
She also assumes this, I think, because these were the 2 people that she knows goes down to the 3rd floor.
Yeah, exactly. And I think they sleep on the second. We'll get to that in a second. But I think they sleep on
the
their own
first floor. She sleeps on the 2nd. Yep. All right, but other than the kindly men and the waif, you got Uma the cook. Then you have 2 serving men, and then you've got some acolytes. I don't know if we got the number of acolytes.
2 serving men with her, one with an old back, blah, blah, blah. I think 3 acolytes. One was Ned's, about her dad's age, and the other 2 couldn't have been much older than Sansa. Yeah.
And then we get some more people come and go. And then
let me I'm sorry to keep interrupting it, but I just want to clarify here, because this, like I said, it was very confusing to me, and I felt like it was on purpose. This is the whole group of people in the church. You don't think there's more priests or acolytes elsewhere within, and you think these are it?
I wouldn't know. Nelson.
That's what I'm going with right now.
Okay.
I honestly don't remember either, but now that I'm like writing it down and taking notes, I'm taking 2 serving men, 3 acolytes, and 2 priests is who is here.
Okay. I just had this weird mental image. Maybe it's because I was reading it on the phone screenshots, but it was like of like this bigger place with more going on. Yeah. No, you're fine. I'll take
maybe there's people hiding down on the 3rd floor. Like the 3rd floor seems
not even hiding down there. Just like these were the people that she was around and associated with. But I guess it makes more sense that it's not just that. That it is small.
Me and Nelson were talking about this in the spoiler section. So we did that first spoiler section. That's a spoiler for you guys now.
We did the spoiler section out of order, so
it doesn't seem like there's obviously they go to sleep and they wake up, but it doesn't think there's any windows here, right? So like the base is kind
of
like
a casino. Yeah, you have no fucking idea.
So like if you're up in the main lobby, if you're down in the basement, like does it really matter because you have no fucking clue what's going on outside or what time of day it is?
At one point she does say that she like practices it with the mirror, like making faces at morning and evening. So it seems like she somehow knows, but I agree that it doesn't seem
dinner
clear.
And breakfast is what it is. I think it's like you just get on that rhythm. So it is
Yeah.
it's morning and evening at that point because it is, right? Like you woke up, so it's morning.
Yeah, but she loses track of time. Like maybe at one point she just stood guard for like 10 hours, like and she just like didn't know, and like nope, you slept through your night. We're actually back at breakfast now.
Yeah,
and your day sucks. But
yep.
So
the acolytes, they wear these robes that don't have hoods, that are black on one side, white on the other, and the
Opposite of the priests.
The priests have the hoods and they have the flip-flop colors, exactly. Arya's just wearing like servant's clothes. The kindly man was the only one that knew the common tongue, and every day she would ask him who she was. And weird bit thing about the waif. She says the waif reminds her of Weasel. Do you guys remember who Weasel is?
She's Weasel.
She became Weasel. She copied the name from Weasel.
She was Weasel, but Weasel got like stabbed or something in the crafty town or something. I feel like
Weasel was a kid that they found left behind in like a raided village that we hear is no more than 2.
Okay.
Oh, was that the little girl that ran off then in the woods?
Yeah, and she like can't talk or something.
Yeah, Arya saves him when
Just crying, doing nothing but crying, right?
Yeah, and then eventually she just like kind of got shell shocked and stopped crying, even though there was still horrible shit going. Yeah. So Arya saves her when they escape the burning village, and I think when the mountains men come up and they're like, "Be quiet," Weasel just like runs off by herself into the woods, and that's the last we've ever heard of Weasel. It's like literally a 2-year-old girl just.
She made
which
it.
is kind of sad, but
dude, there's no way 2 years old. Like I'm just thinking, there's no way.
Well, and what's crazy here
no
is
way. There's no way.
She thinks the waif reminds her of Weasel, and at one point she's like, "I wanted to smack the waif, but she was just a little girl," which to me implies Arya thinks that she's at least younger than herself. So
I'm saying maybe she looks like a 6-year-old then. Like Weasel couldn't even have been 2 years old. Like,
again, maybe I'm jumping the gun on this because we find out how old she really is later. We can save this conversation for that, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's crazy the how old she looks versus how old she really is. But yeah, so
yeah. All right, so they play a name game. Like, all right, who are you, girl? The kindly man asks her. She fails.
Yeah.
Who are you? I'm yada yada. Nope. Slap.
No one is who she usually tries. Yeah.
Yeah. That ain't working. And then nobody speaks the common language. But
well, there's one point where she goes through all her different names and she says, but not in her, like all her Nan, Squab, blah, 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 but not in her heart of hearts. In there, she was Arya of Winterfell, the daughter of Lord Eddard Stark and Lady Catelyn, who had once had brothers named Robb and Bran and Rickon, and a sister named Sansa, a direwolf called Nymeria, a half-brother named Jon Snow. In there, she was someone, but that was not the answer he wanted. So, again, I feel like this is kind of just like, I feel like the more impactful quote that's like this later is when she's giving away Needle. We'll read that one, or thinking about giving away Needle. But just like, I guess like early prediction from Kyle. What do you think about this? Is Arya gonna be able to become no one?
No.
Let go of this Arya personality.
No, and I hope she doesn't, right? I hope she can kind of keep some of who she is. I think that makes her more interesting than if she just turns
I
into
think, I don't know what you want us to say, Nelson, on the topic.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think these quotes make you think.
I think you can leave it there,
It's
Brian.
tough.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So she can't speak the common language. She can't have conversations with really anybody but the kindly man. And then one acolyte's even blind, but
Yeah.
he seems to have figured out how to do his job pretty well.
He changes the candles even though he's blind, going off heat and smell.
Yeah.
Yep.
And every morning they prayed. She learned from her whispering and started doing her prayer in silence because she has no idea what they were praying.
Yeah, because they're praying they're praying in Brabosi. Yep.
And then just kind of general workings of this spot. People came every day. Some ended up leaving. That's kind of interesting that you could come and leave.
Yeah, are they praying for the death of somebody else, or do they chicken out?
Yeah, that's kind of what it seemed to me. Well, no,
So there's a little bit of chicken out. Like you get to the pool and you're like, I don't know about that.
Oh yeah, there's got to be some of that. Yeah, like, I mean,
That's
gotta,
actually what I thought. I didn't think about praying for another person.
That's a heavy decision to make for yourself. But I mean, these people obviously know how to kill, though, Jeff. Right? Like, so why would they exist if they didn't also exist for that purpose?
To not kill the people?
What I'm saying is like, why? Like, if they're not murders for hire, but like murders for God's will or whatever.
For sure. No,
Like,
I get
why?
it.
Yeah, why would they exist?
That's just
So that's kinda,
I thought it was more so people chickening out then. I agree with you.
I didn't think of that
it's
chickening
definitely
out. So there you go.
And I'll remind you, Kyle, that we actually have heard that the faceless men are murderers for hire, kind of. Like Tyrion is afraid that. Okay.
Well, I mean, Jaqen did it at the place. And what was Tyrion afraid? Go ahead. I
Well,
didn't know this Tyrion
Jaqen killed 3 men because she saved 3 lives. That wasn't
because
really
she saved
for
3
hire.
lives. So yeah, I know. But like, come
Like
on,
when
like,
Tyrion, when Jaime's freeing Tyrion, he's like, wherever I go, Cersei's faceless men will find. Like she'll throw money at the faceless men to make this happen. And at one point, Littlefinger thinks something like, "Oh, we could get a faceless men to kill." I forget who they're trying to get killed, but he's like, "We could hire faceless men, but it would be cheaper to get half an army or something like that of sellswords." So we have heard that they
don't
do,
come cheap.
but they're not cheap. So
because they're good.
yeah,
Seems
probably,
like they have some skill.
Get what you pay for. But I think that's interesting. Again, I don't know if we see that. Again, one of the things Arya says, and we're jumping around a little bit, but I'm sure it'll make the later part of the chapter go faster. She says sometimes people do come and visit and then go and talk to the priests. Like, maybe that's what that is. It's like, hey, I got a big bag of gold and somebody I don't really like. So, again, I don't know. But that's one of the things that
it could even be... I don't know. I don't want to give too much credit to these people because if you're going to have somebody killed, it's hard to call it righteous. But there could be a more righteous reason, right? Of like this person is doing some awful shit in the name of not God or whatever, not whatever, not the stranger or the stranger's
trying
bad
to live
one. I don't know
forever.
why I picked that one, but yeah, trying to live forever, exactly, yeah.
All right, so some people came, some people left, some people went to sleep, a long sleep, and she mentions like all the different god statues that are around, and I think a lot of them are ones that we haven't heard except for the stranger.
Yeah, I think just maybe in passing once or twice. So we have the weeping woman, who is the favorite of old women, the lion of night, the favorite of rich men, the hooded wayfarer, the favorite of poor men, Bacalon, the pale child, the favorite of soldiers. I've never read it, but apparently this is like a god from another George R. Martin book that's like worshipped by the way I see it from what I've understand is like a Warhammer type cult. They like I guess Warhammer is kind of like there's a religious aspect to it. That's kind of how I see Bacalon the Pale Child, which makes sense because and then he just stole that and threw it in here as a one line. Oh, the soldiers like this guy. So kind of cool.
I like Bacalon. That's a cool name.
Yeah. The Moon Pale Maiden, favorite of sailors, along with the Merlin King, the favorite of sailors. And then there was a stranger. The stranger had a shrine too. But even here, he still didn't get a lot of...
Yeah, I don't know why I said the stranger earlier when I was like talking about gods. That was the first one that came to my mind because it was like alone.
The god of death. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah.
Yep. So yeah.
Yeah, not getting a whole lot of love from the Westerosi aren't traveling across the sea to sip some black water.
Well, yeah, and even in Westeros, that the stranger's not the favorite.
Yeah, well, yeah, exactly. You got 6 others to pick from. You don't pick death typically, but I would, right?
Especially at a place like this, you'd think this is he'd have some fans.
All right, bottom level, off limits to everybody but the priest. We don't know shit about there, but that is where we find out that the bodies go after being prepared.
Yep, after being cleaned up.
She is allowed to wander around. She finds a room full of clothes. She finds another room full of weapons, and she keeps sneaking.
She thinks there's got to be a treasure hoard somewhere. She's like, we got weapons, we got clothes, where's all the gold?
Where's that shit at?
Yeah.
Yeah, but like, so I didn't put it together either here. I'll be full honest that these people, this was like the leftovers, the remnants of the people that have come and participated in the Black Cup.
Well, I think it's a twofold, right? It's that they basically have all the leftovers of all the dead people, but they also now have the world's best prop department because if we're gonna send people out pretending to be somebody else, we're not using props. We're using an app.
Real,
hey, go get the sailor who died here last week's clothes for Arya, who's gonna go pretend to be a sailor.
Authentic gear. Yeah.
Hey, go get that girl that sold the cockles out on the.
Exactly. Go get that for Arya, who's gonna go sell cockles.
That's fair. Although I'm assuming some of these people are probably like sick and dying, right? As well, like so, like maybe you don't want to wear the plague clothes or something. But
I guess backing up a second on the thematic level, they pray around the pool, this black pool.
Yeah,
there's another people that play around a black pool that we know, not as an aspect of the god, but in Winterfell, the heart tree happens to be right next to a bottomless, still black pool, right?
Hot spring.
It's actually not hot, I don't think. That pool.
It's warm,
cold,
I thought,
but I don't know.
Oh, really?
I feel like we've argued about this a ton before. I don't think it really matters in this aspect, but it looks black.
Cold.
So I just thought that was interesting. That like they say that's where they pray every day is around this pool, and that's where people come to pray at the end. Even like the people who worship here when they wake up in the morning, that's where they gather to pray is around this pool. So I don't know if there's an intentional parallel there, but I don't know.
I think it is like the actual death itself, right? Like so that's kind of what they're praying about.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right, like that is the device of death.
I wonder, like, what are these morning prayers? Like, she says there's no real services ever, but they do say they have like morning prayers. Is it just like, welcome everyone, Valar Morghulis, Valar Dohaeris, see you tomorrow, like, or I want to hear one of these sermons about death, I guess. But yeah, she's going back to talk about her time in the temple. She would wander around. One time, the kindly man found her. What are you doing? Who are you? No one.
And she got caught. She got caught again.
Yep.
I mean, to be fair, though, she was allowed to be everywhere here, except for downstairs.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think it was just another test. Like, all right, tell me what the fuck you're doing.
Exactly, yeah.
No, you still can't lie.
She's like, when you get caught in a lie here, it's not even that bad. When I was with Weiss, he'd beat me bloody if I lied. Here, the worst that ever happens to me is I get smacked by a spoon if I get in the way when I'm helping Uma in the kitchen. He's like, I liked helping Uma. I didn't speak her language, but she would just point at stuff and I would just chop it or knead it or whatever and get the job done. She's like,
pretty skilled. She's like deboning fish and like filleting fish up. Like, no one taught you that, Arya. Like, how you
hop high.
You're leaving some bones in there.
Time on the road.
Yeah, that's true. You got to figure something out on the road.
I put you out on the road and you wouldn't fucking learn shit.
I'm about to be out on the road.
I think if you put him out on the road and he actually so I probably wouldn't learn shit either. Like I don't know that I'd go to eating bugs. I'd probably just go to McDonald's up the street or something. But
if you just threw an onion at someone and said chop it, like if you gave 10 people that never chopped an onion before an onion and a knife, 10 people would all chop it probably differently.
I'm saying that she's probably chopped an onion. Well, first off, she's worked at some of these places.
Give me an onion 10 times, I'll chop it differently every time. I have no idea how to chop an onion.
One time he'll chop off his finger.
Well, yeah, it's potatoes. She thinks Hot Pot would have liked it here. She's basically like, this is the first time I've gone to bed with a full belly consistently in a long time. And
lots of fish available.
Yes.
It's always around. We're obviously right off. Like Bravos is made for fishing.
Yep.
Supper is her favorite, and she got to ask some questions. Actually, the roles reversed at dinner time.
Yep. Sometimes he would answer. So the one that she's talking about here is, how come when the people come here, they're pretty peaceful? Like they're all like welcoming death. Like back home, I've only ever seen like people like not wanting to die. And she thinks about the pimple-faced squire she killed, and how Army Lurch begged when Vargo threw him in the bear pit, and all the villagers screaming when the tickler would start asking his questions. And the kindly man, which I think kind of tails with the tickler part, is like, death's not the worst thing, right? Because the tickler would kill him right away. He would tickle him. So, and I don't know if that's what the kindly man's alluding to. He shouldn't. I don't even know if Arya says that. I think she's just thinking about the tickler anyway. But
well, I think it's also just saying like, these people are suffering, right? They're here for a reason. They've been going through something for a while. They're suffering. So like that is to them the worst thing.
And it sounds like they have a dream of a yonder place to go to, right?
Yeah, there's something about stars that never
set,
shot,
right?
Or stars don't stop shining.
If this is a vessel to get them to that spot, and it doesn't sound like, again, people are leaving, so like maybe it's not your time, but like if the many-faced god says it's your time, then you get to roll out of here.
Yeah. I've recently read a book on Buddhism, and this definitely isn't a Buddhism parallel, but one of the tenets of Buddhism is like you have these cycles of rebirth, and you're reborn into a new life every time based on how you lived your current life, karma. That's a way oversimplification, but that's kind of the general gist. But the end goal is to become enlightened, which is to realize that the only way that this whole cycle of being reborn is nothing but suffering over and over, right? Like it's just an endless suffer of cycling, and nirvana is like becoming enlightened. And when you achieve nirvana, when you die, you don't get reborn. So it's kind of like Buddhism, the goal is kind of like the ultimate death, and to not be reborn. And that's the good thing once you realize that this cycle is, and if there's any Buddhism, I'm sure I'm going to get destroyed in the comments, because that's probably an oversimplification and not right. But that's the gist I'm getting from the one Buddhism book I read. So again, definitely not the exact same idea. Like you said, there is some idea of an afterlife here with like the never ending stars, but the idea is still kind of the same as like we're ending suffering here.
Death is a release.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it doesn't sound like they have to really earn it, like you said.
Well, yeah, they don't have to earn it, but exactly. It's kind of, again, I'm not saying it's a parallel, but it's an end to suffering is kind of the through line, I think.
Yeah.
I guess that I was
that's what I mean by a release, right? Like it's mortal coil ending. Like I don't like, death it's scary in itself, but at the same time, like, it is kind of the end of whatever is going on. So it's a natural thing. It exists, and these people are at peace with it.
And like you said last time, it's kind of like a extreme hospice care, right? That's that's kind of what we have today, right? Where it's not like I think some places assisted suicide is even
maybe Switzerland. I know one of those countries over there was trying to do something about it, but I don't know if it ever became legal. Actually, I think they might have done one or two, and then there was like international uproar. I don't know.
But I mean, I guess that kind of proves that this is like a thing that even today people are like considering.
Well, it's an ethical question, right? Like, is it wrong for one to take one's own life? Yeah, and then is it wrong to help that person take their own life? Yeah, who knows?
So one of you guys want to read this quote? He kind of gives like the general, I guess, thesis statement.
It is his gift to us, an end to want and pain, On the day that we are born, the many-faced God sends each of us a dark angel to walk through life beside us. When our sins and our suffering grow too great to be borne, the angel takes us by the hand to lead us to the nightlands, where the stars burn ever bright. Those who come to drink from the black cup are looking for their angels. If they are afraid, the candles soothe them. When you smell our candles burning, what does it make you think of, my child?
Winterfell, she might have said. I smell snow and smoke and pine needles. I smell the stables. I smell Hodor laughing, and Jon and Robb battling in the yard, and Sansa singing about some stupid lady fair. I smell the crypts where the Stone Kings sit. I smell hot bread baking. I smell the godswood. I smell my wolf. I smell her fur, almost as if she was still here beside me. I don't smell anything, she said, to see what he would say.
You lie, but you may keep your secrets if you wish, Arya, House of Stark.
Yep. So I kept this last line in there because it reminded me of something my college football coach would do to me. Is everybody knows Nelson's my nickname. It's not my real name. When I wasn't playing well, he would refuse to call me Nelson. He would basically he would call me Zach because remember
Name
Zach.
reveal, oh my god.
And my take is it's kind of like a nerdy name, and that's kind of what he knew I had that thought, and he was kind of riding on. He's like, no, Nelson's a football player named Zach. Is you're playing like a Zach today, is basically, and that's kind of how this guy hits it. He's like, I'm disappointed in you, and when he's disappointed, he's like, Arya of House Stark.
I think we've had this conversation before. So he's disappointed, and he's like, "Yo, if you want to stay here, you gotta serve. This ain't a free trip, and you must obey everything."
Yep.
She thinks of Syrio here a little bit.
At one point, he says that he drops a "just so" on her.
That just Bravosi syntax.
Yeah, it was a Syrio slang.
Syrio used to say it.
Yeah, she thinks of Syrio again later on, which I think has she's thought of him a couple times, but she also had other jobs. Sometimes she would have to sweep the main hall.
Well, so he says, hey, you're gonna have a lot of jobs because here we're not just a home for orphans. Here everyone serves.
He said that.
Oh, you did? Did you drop the words Valar Dohaeris?
No,
he didn't say that.
Right, so that's when he tells us that's what that means, right? Is all men must serve. Kyle had guessed that this meant all men must drink fire wine because they kept saying it to Arya on the boat when they were drinking a lot of fire wine. So I didn't know if it was. You sounded kind of straight when I was listening to the last end of the. That's why I know that because I was just listening to the end of the chapter. I couldn't tell if you were memeing or not because it was kind of straight faced, but not all men drink fire wine.
I forgot this one.
All right. Well, I didn't know what it meant, so yeah, here we are.
How you do?
Yep.
Exactly. So a couple of her other jobs, she had to sweep. She then served and poured meals out. And then sometimes she did kind of inventory. She took the dead man's clothes, folded it up, and took the coins. Then she'd have to walk around with the lamp with the kindly man to see who was actually dead in the honeycombs.
Yep, the morning strolls. And he tells her that the gift of the many-faced God takes a myriad of forms, but here it is always gentle. So, again, with the smells of the candles and everything, that's why people are coming here.
Yep, so bodies were taken down to the lower level. One night, they were eating dinner, and she's like, oh, fuck. What do they do with the bodies?
Yeah.
Why am I not eating fish tonight? What the fuck is this?
Yeah, it's exactly. They're taking them down to the secret level. You can't go down there. We're all eating for free upstairs here. Where's the food?
But you can't
from?
imagine they're strapped for cash, right? They, like we said, they have big pockets when they do a murder for hire, and there's just people dying with full pockets. Like Arya says, when she's sorting clothes and stuff, she sorts random coins sometimes too. So there's really just people donating when they die.
I got full pockets. I gotta go.
It's kind of strange to go if you're not leaving anybody behind, you're like, all right, I'll just leave the coins in my pocket. Maybe leave them on your dresser. And you're like, oh shit, where'd he go? And I'm like, he must have went to the house.
I mean, some of them probably believe you got to take something with you.
Yeah,
like an offering.
Yeah.
So
what do you think? How is she eating meat, people, or pork?
Nah, it's probably pork.
Okay.
I mean, they've been eating mostly fish. She said it sounds like there's people here pretty frequently. They'd be eating more of this pork if it was.
And I said, why? What's the point?
Yeah,
that would be the main dish if people were just dying left and right, and you had meat aplenty.
When you had no other option. Yeah. Hopefully, right? That would.
Well, and like you said, these people might be sickly. It's probably not the cream of the crop.
The best
prime rib.
Oh
yeah, that too.
You could get.
So she had a solid room to herself. There was a stone bed. Sounds awful, but she did have a lumpy mattress.
She's like, it was a stone bed and a lumpy blanket. It was the best room I've ever had because her life's been so shit recently.
Yeah, I mean,
for quite some time,
so, right? Yeah. She wasn't able to, but she had all of her treasures to this point. a silver fork, a floppy hat, fingerless gloves, yada yada, her clothes, and then Needle.
And a dagger. Yep, that's it.
This is when she gets caught. She was practicing with Needle, and the waif walks by.
Yep. And the next day, basically, the kindly man shows up, and he's like, what's all this stuff? Who are you? And she's like, no one. He's like, huh, that's weird. No one has all of Arya's stuff in her room.
Yeah.
And he's like, you got to serve. Is this where he's basically like, the iron coin? And he's like, the iron coin got you here, but you got to pay your own way now. And she's like, I don't have any coin. I can't pay my own way. And he's like, it's not.
Yeah, it's not a physical price. It's more, or I guess it's not a monetary price. It's more of a physical.
Your body, your soul, yourself. Yeah.
And she's like, look, you can go anywhere you want. You want to be a merchant's daughter here? Go ahead. You want to get married? We'll find you someone to marry. You want to go back to Westeros? We'll pop you on a ship and get you back there.
Yeah.
But make up your mind.
Around this area, too, I feel like a few times Arya keeps thinking about this hole in her heart or where her heart should be, which is the kind of like, this is a 10-year-old girl, man. And like we said, like it's sad. Like she wasn't afraid when the dude had a magic skull with a worm sticking out because she's seen worse, right?
Yeah,
like that was kind of the end of the last chapter. Is like that's how she got accepted. Was he's like, "Are you afraid of death?" She's like, "No," and then he shows her this horrible thing, and she's like, "Oh, that's it." Like I've literally been living this.
Yeah,
bro.
bring it. Yeah, bring it,
So
old man.
Really wild move to pull that worm out and start chomping on it.
For sure.
But
I think
she ate worms for a while, right? Like,
Yeah.
like she's done it.
my point here is just like we read the chapters and you can like it's like, oh man, this is tough, but they're like it's a 10-year-old girl, which makes it like even more tough and more sad. Like the hole in her heart. It's like, dude, you
shouldn't know. You shouldn't even know this is possible
exactly.
at that age. You should be innocent enough that you have no idea that you can break your heart.
Like they're like, start washing dead bodies. She's like, okay, bet. Like,
all right,
you give me that job. I'm like, whoa.
Yeah.
What?
Like,
I don't know.
I don't know.
She's a 10-year-old girl. Like, okay, cool, let's do it. Sometimes they were a little heavy. It's like that's her complaint. Is they're a little too heavy sometimes? Like, what? You're a psycho.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
In this conversation, it's like she goes to him like, all right, like you don't want me here, like I will go, and he gets into this like, well, I don't know if you're built for this, right? One, you're a girl, right?
So, I guess my question is, why doesn't he's like, hey, you can do all these things, and granted, some of them aren't great. It's like go be a whore or whatever, but like one of them just go back to Westeros. She didn't want to come here. She wanted to go to Eastwatch. Like when she was leaving Saltpan, she's like, take me to Eastwatch. They're like, no, we're not going to Eastwatch. And she's like, I have this coin. They're like, okay, well now we know where we're taking you, right?
Well,
so it's like
now that she's here,
and I guess like again, she has had a lot of the comforts that she hasn't had recently. And are we there already? When at one point when he's asking her about her list, he's like, are you here because you want to learn our ways so you can go kill these people?
That was the very first paragraph.
Very first time.
Did we talk about that? Because he's like, that's not how this works.
That's not who we are. Yeah,
no, I mentioned
the many-faced God decides, not us. What were you saying?
Nelson's shocked that she doesn't want to just bail.
Why doesn't she like? So I feel like she kind of thinks she's fated to be here at this point, right? Like she's like, okay, this coin brought me here. I'm very accepted here. Like I'm starting to learn the ways here. Like she feels like she needs to be here.
I think there's a curiosity to it too. Like what the fuck is this place? Like,
for sure.
What does this guy like? This guy knows some shit that I can like. She learned from Serial a lot, right? So maybe she's thinking she can learn from these people too.
Yeah.
When she has very little to her name anyway, like the needle thing for sure. That I think I feel like that should have been harder for her at the end. I'm gonna throw that out now. I guess she didn't really get rid of it, so it's not super hard in a way. Like it's like, okay, I'm stashing you for later. We'll be all right. Yeah, like it was a fucking fork, a hat, and some gloves. Like, get rid of that shit, girl.
And she really doesn't have anywhere to go back to. Like, unless she goes to the wall, right? That's the only.
I think that's the best answer, and I don't like to get like all psychiatrist or like psychological on the characters. But like, I bet she kind of has like an attachment complex, right? Like every person, like Yoren dead, Syrio dead, Ned dead. Jaqen, see ya. Like she gets like these like Gendry in the Brotherhood, like anybody that's like and she says I have no pack, right? And part of it is just like the pack of like togetherness, but there's also just like she's had like a person looking out for her, like normally a good person, Yoren or Syrio or the Brotherhood, or they're wishy-washy, but they're generally good guys, right? So she's had these good people, right, and they just leave. And I feel like here she's like, this guy's not going anywhere, so if I don't go anywhere, I have a pack here, right? Which it's like a fucked up murder cult, the death pack.
I don't know if she's buying all into that, but they aren't leaving. That's It doesn't
Well,
seem like they're going anywhere anytime soon.
It's just weird to me because all the thoughts, like when she smells the candles about Winterfell, when she thinks about Arya and all her brothers, and when she goes to give away Needle, we'll read that quote. That's all about like how much she loves home. But he's like, "Hey, do you want to go back home?" And she's like, "No." But I think you guys kind of said it. There is what she's remembering isn't what's there anymore. So like you can have fond memories, but you can't go back.
And to reduce it to a murder cult, though, Nelson, I don't think is fair, right?
Know.
Because it's the House of Many Faces, and we learn it can't be too far now, but it's like the many faces of every god, essentially, is the idea behind it. It's like it just is the all-being God, which is every religion experiences death, right?
Yeah.
Like it's kind of this is the end. It's death. So like I don't know that it's a cult, but it is kind of a religion around dying in itself.
Sure,
to some degree.
I was gonna clarify there a little bit that it's more than just a murder.
Yeah.
It's like we're saying, there's a hospice mentality to it too, but it has a little bit of both sides. But yeah, so when he's telling her basically, okay, if you stay, it's going to be tough for you. I think Jeff had started to get to it because you're a woman. Women bring life, not destroy it. It's tough to do both. Which is weird because at this point, we've only seen two people. He's like, there's not many women that serve the many-faced God. We've only seen two priests and one's a woman. But later we do hear these people that might be priests that are cycling. There's like six
Jack
of them.
and two. And then you have 6 men that come up.
So is Jack and a priest? Is he like, I see him more as one of these 6 men, which might be a priest. He doesn't actually, Arya asks, but he doesn't give a clear answer on it. But I think it's a good question.
In my mind right now, they're priests to me, but you could tell me I'm wrong later on.
Okay. I don't know.
Will do. No, I don't know.
So later on that night, she packs all her shit up and seems like she's getting ready to roll on out of here. Kyle, did you think? Do you think she was
It does. It does feel like a leaving moment. Yeah.
But she pulls up to the dock, starts throwing shit away.
Yep.
So the fork goes first. That belonged to Salty. I think that's kind of like a cool little ploy for her here. Is like, all right, like that wasn't actually Arya, that was Salty.
Yeah.
Right.
Good way to start the ball rolling.
Yeah. Like, let me try to strip down back to like my truest form, and then like, So she gets rid of everything, and then she holds on the needle, and that just seems like it's like the pensieve of Hogwarts, right? And she's just getting all these memories that flood back into her.
That's the thing where Dumbledore pulls the thing.
Yeah, like
out.
the tears,
Yeah, okay.
the tears and whatnot.
Yeah.
So all the memories of Needle and just Winterfell and her family.
Read that quote, Jeff.
She stood on the end of the dock, pale and goose-fleshed and shivering in the fog. In her hand, Needle seemed to whisper to her, "Stick them with the pointy end," it said, "and don't tell Sansa." Mickens' mark was on the blade. "It's just a sword." If she needed a sword, there were 100 under the temple. Needle was too small to be a proper sword. It was hardly more than a toy. She'd been a stupid little girl, and John had made it for her. "It's just a sword," she said, aloud this time. But it wasn't. Needle was Robb and Bran and Rickon, her mother and her father, even Sansa. Needle was Winterfell's gray walls and the laughter of its people. Needle was the summer snows, old name stories, the heart tree with its red leaves and scary face, the warm earthy smell of the glass gardens, the sound of the north wind rattling the shutters of her room. Needle was Jon Snow's smile. "He used to mess my hair and call me little sister," she remembered, and suddenly there were tears in her eyes. Polliver had stolen the sword from her when the mountain's men took her captive, but when she and the hound walked into the inn at the crossroads, there it was. The gods wanted me to have it. Not the 7, nor him of many faces, but her father's gods, the old gods of the north. The many-faced god can have the rest, she thought, but he can't have this.
Yep. I love this quote. This is a cool Stark quote, right?
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it just because I like Arya a lot, and it's like, no, fuck you. Like, I'm not giving this shit up.
Yeah.
Well, and this is part of the why I don't think she gives up the last part of being who she is to the Manifest Guide in the end. Like, I think she's gonna to follow through with it. I don't think she's gonna half-ass it. Don't take that the wrong way. But I think
at one point she's gonna realize I can't do this final thing or whatever.
This was all for being a Stark.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just I think it's a pretty self-explanatory quote again, but I think kind of like what I was saying earlier, we got to linger on is, but the whole like is why is she staying when quotes like this clearly make it seem like it's not what she wants? But I think you guys kind of convinced me it's because she has memories of these times, but she's like she thinks all these people are dead, so it's like
does she know that Winterfell's like rubble too?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's like this
She
is a
seems to.
memory of the good time, but that doesn't mean I can just get on a ship and go back to the way things were. Like it doesn't work like that. So this might be the best I
time
have
machine.
now, but I still can't let go of the memories, I guess, is kind of how
who I was.
Exactly.
Still part of who I am.
Yep.
So she hides it in a crack, a loose
on the stairs.
It may have been a little bit loose, but she makes it more loose and plugs it back in, and she's like, "Hey, no one will know where you are, and I'll be back for you.
Yep.
If I need you." Later on, we get a little 101 with the kindly man. We get an old tale.
Yep. We get the history of how it all started. So it seems like this is kind of like an approval, right? Like, okay, you shedded all your old stuff. Stage 2, we'll teach you our history.
Yeah, we're bringing you in. Yeah, that was your initiation, right? Essentially, is dump everything.
Yeah, so it's like a reward. He's being rewarded for her shedding all of her past stuff. Yep. So what's the gist? I have one part of this as a quote. I don't know if we got to read the whole thing. What's the kind of gist of the history here?
Kyle, you want to give it?
The gistery?
The gistery of the faceless men.
So, yeah, there was a mine, and there were a bunch of slaves in the mine.
A volcano mine.
Volcano mine, yep.
A living mountain is how I like to refer to
it. and they essentially were forcing the slaves to dig deeper and deeper, because that's where the good shit is. Everybody knows that, right? It's the
where
good
it is
shit,
in Minecraft.
Where it gets hotter. Yeah, the good loot's on level 60, below, whatever.
Big time Lord of the Rings reference, I think.
I mean, it's just anywhere, right? Like, you got to mine deeper into the mountain. The heart of the mountain lies deeper. So, like, that's kind of part of it. But anyway, yeah, eventually there's one dude that is like, I need to end the suffering, right? Like, there's too much suffering here. He's the first faceless man.
Yep, just a couple of random things before we get to that part. She's like, did they rise up and fight? Well, there are fireworms. Yeah, exactly. There are fireworms that can be as big as her arm or up to monstrous as a man. They breathe fire, exactly. They basically would find blackened bodies at the end of a mine that had like wormholes or big cracks in it, and it's just like, fuck, what are these things? Exactly. And then Arya's like, well, did the slaves rise up and fight? And he's like, yeah, but the Valyrians had some sorcery. Dragon Lords of the Freehold were strong in sorcery, and lesser men defied them at their peril. So that's like, what the fuck? Like, what do you mean sorcery? Like, why not just say they had fucking dragons, so it was hard for slaves to rebel against people with dragons, right? Because is that what they mean by is dragon sorcery? I don't know. That feels like more.
I don't think it has anything to do with dragons.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I didn't get straight dragon vibes, but we also know that magic in general was stronger when the dragons were around. So, like, they could have been doing any type of magic.
That's true. Because at one point he's like, well, the reason this was so easy is because they had a ton of slaves, because they brought them in like crazy in times of war. And that's because they had dragons. So they were just conquering. Like, we kind of heard some of this.
Yeah. They were just knocking temples down left and right. We
didn't get the details on it, but I kind of told you guys a little bit of the history. In the last Arya chapter, there's Garen the Great, one of the Rhoynar people, who was basically like, Nymeria is like, let's get the fuck out. And Garen's like, we can kind of stand and fight. Garen probably and his people ended up in these mines, right? It's probably how some of that might worked. So I actually don't think so. I think Garen might have died. I think we know Garen. I think we know Garen died himself, or it might have been after this. But exactly the general gist is that's how that happened. Is they were conquering all these places, bringing them back. Exactly. So then eventually there was the first faceless man.
It says the suffering has to end, and starts killing the slaves, which is the big twist, right? Like, you think rises up to kill the masters, but he's actually just ending the suffering.
Well, and why is they call this the many-faced god? You kind of alluded to it earlier in the podcast, but
it's all the gods.
Exactly, because these are slaves from all these different places, and they're all in these mines praying to different people.
They're all praying to somebody.
Praying for death, essentially.
All praying for death, but to their different gods. And he's like, why aren't their gods listening? And he's like, oh, it's all the same thing in the end, right? Which is, again, what we've got to, but this is how it started. So, and again, it's kind of the trick. What Kyle said is he killed the slaves because he heard their prayers and answered them. And you can read that as like, oh, they're probably praying for the masters to be killed. But
they're just praying for death and the suffering.
Exactly. When it's such a hopeless situation, that's not even on their mind. They're just like, just end it.
Yeah.
So, and Arya's like, no, that's not right.
Yeah, she's all pissed off. She's like, hey, what? That's bullshit. He should have killed the masters. And that's a story for another time, girl.
Yeah, best shared with no one.
Yeah, that's a funny.
That is. I do like the place of just no one.
No one's one of those words that definitely gets brought up in weird random has been brought up in weird random chapters and spoiler sections throughout. Just anytime no one is used, it's like, is it a faceless man, or is it, you know what I mean? When
That's funny.
It's just it's just George trying to say no one. Like, even in this chapter, there was a few times I was like, oh, it was a but no,
It's not
there's
not
no way to
always
read into it.
hidden.
Yeah, exactly.
Also, here he starts telling her how he can tell lies, like on the most basic level, and a lot of it's telling, seeing the differences in the faces and the mannerisms.
Arya's gnawing on her lip, like, how do you tell? How do you tell when someone's lying?
What do you mean? As I blink
Blinking like crazy, yeah. And he gives her some like the mentalist or whatever. There's a TV show about a guy who can read lies, right? But he's basically like, you cover your mouth, you look at your feet, or he's like, just look, you can tell.
Yeah.
He's like, you're gonna start practicing some of this stuff. You and the way, first off, you gotta learn the language. So you teach her, she'll teach you, get it done. And they start working at it. She's a novice now. She got upgrade, new clothes.
Yeah, she got the no hooded robe.
Yep.
Yeah, she's black and white.
Yeah, so she was like, this training's harder than Serial had me doing some crazy ass shit, and this is way harder to try to learn this language right now. Which is like, I don't know. What I'm saying is to learn a language, like to just go around and like look at a cup and say cup and then say door. I mean,
they're gonna run out of stuff in there to point at.
I think to Jeff's point, the tricky part for me from languages, and I'm not a language expert, but it's always like the verb conjugations or like structuring sentences. Well, like I could get by, I think, pretty well in another. Maybe I'm totally wrong. I feel like I could get by in like another country with just like bathroom where, right? Like obviously I don't.
That'll get you to the bathroom. It's not gonna do shit else for you.
I wouldn't claim if you could talk like that. I wouldn't claim I speak English, but I'm saying like you could.
But even
you could get by
we've all taken language. We've all taken years of language, right? Like I've taken 2 years of Spanish and 3 years of Italian, and
you had nothing to show for it.
A couple phrases, a couple phrases, and even
I agree with you. That's
like,
your point.
I don't even know like if you get to the highest, and then you actually go to that said country, like. It like once people that are fluent in that language, they start talking, like they're using slang, they're using like different phrases, and like you're fucked. Like
when they speak at 1,000,000 miles an hour, too,
a million miles an hour,
local language or local dialect.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
But I think that's kind of where Arya gets to by the end. Is she's able to be like, impossible. I wear bathroom, right? That's where she's at by the end, and he's like, you know what? You can get by, go out. The only way you're gonna get the actual flow of it is by speaking it every day. Right, and I think that's why none of us know it is because we learned Spanish and Italian in a classroom, and we never then went to Spain for a year, right, and had to talk in Spanish for like.
Well, I went to Italy in the 1 year I was taking Italian, so like I did know enough words that like I could piece, but then like I didn't know how to say excuse me, and I'm just like, what the fuck? Like, how do I not know how to say that? And it's just like they use like I'm sorry, like mi dispiace is like. It's the same fucking thing. Yeah. And like you just don't know that because it's not in your fucking everyday shit.
Well, and languages are like crazy. Like that you I don't want to go down this rabbit hole, we're going long, but like they have the whole like do languages to like change how your thought process works. And I think the example I always use, which is from Game of Thrones, which is a bad example because George is not a linguist, but it's like, and I don't even know if it's in the books, but in the show, when Dany gets gifted silver from Drogo, she's like, I want to say thank you. How do you say thank you in Dothraki? And George's like, there is no thank. Like, that's not a word. They don't have that word. Like, they don't. That like they're not polite like that. They take and give, and you know what I mean. Like, so
just go on their business.
And just like so that culture has no like you're saying, they have no concept of excuse me. It's just like, oh, I'm sorry for being in your way, right? It's probably it's not just how they say it. It's how they think of it slightly differently too, right? There are examples of this. Like I think again, I don't know off the top of my head. We don't got to go into it, but this is something we learned in anthropology, where like different cultures just don't know of certain things because of that. Like Eskimo cultures have languages for like ranges of temperatures that are like 5-degree differences, right? Where me and you might not be able to tell that. They're like, oh, it's whatever X out versus Y out when we're like, it's fucking cold, bro. You know what I mean? Like
now that I'm even thinking on my Italian too, that's not even. That's like I don't like. That's not even. I'm sorry. So. Fuck me.
We're all just spewing bad.
Long story short, languages are hard to learn, and Arya's fucked. That's what's telling me that the waif knew this shit beforehand.
Yeah, so that's what she says. Is she's like, the waif was picking up Common way better than I was picking up Ravasi. And I guess to be fair, some languages are easier to pick up than others, right? But
and she might also have learned a few already and have been through this, so I don't know. But it does seem suspicious.
Well, and if she's 36, she might have just picked up some along the way too, right? Because that's we learned that soon. They start playing this. Along with languages, they start playing this game where they just try and lie to each other and then call each other out on their bullshit. And Arya's like, it was fucking crazy. The waif seemed to know every single time, and I was just guessing every time. And I normally guess wrong. It's like, I should be at least 50-50 on the guesses.
But again,
like, what the fuck, man?
the waif is a priest. The waif is in priest robes.
Mhm.
Yeah?
Mhm.
So
True.
she's on kindly man level in my mind.
And 36, right?
So-
like, she's not a little girl.
Yeah, she's 36. So, like, she's, come on. Like, she knows, if anything, she can see face twitches. They're not on, to think that these two are on evil playing levels. It's like, you're playing on all Madden and I'm playing
True.
on rookie mode. Like, I should beat the shit out of you in this game.
And I think that's maybe part of the point here is this is a cross language. Like, you don't need to speak the language to be able to tell that they're lying, right? And again, I think I might agree with Jeff that the waif might have more common already. Like, she might know common more than she's letting on already. But even so, like, I feel like that's kind of the point here is you don't need to be able to speak the language to be able to call bullshit because it's in, like, the facial expressions or mannerisms or whatever.
I guess. If someone in another language was having a conversation with me, I'd be like, bro, I don't know what the fuck you're saying.
I guess that's true, yeah.
Like, you could be saying, hey, tell me where the bathroom is, and I'm thinking you're telling me, like, your life story. And, like, I wouldn't know. You're just asking where the bathroom is.
But if you show me a video of a guy and you're like, and he's speaking Spanish, and you're like, this guy is like, it's a interrogation, and I can tell it's like a cop interrogating somebody on like a murder trial. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like, maybe
okay.
even though you can't understand a word he's saying, you might get a vibe. It's like, I don't know about this guy. You know what I mean?
Yeah. All right. So, yeah, weird waif is a 36-year-old that looks like Weasel, who I'm going to say is probably like a 4-year-old, but weird shit. And the Kali man said it's from the poison that makes her look the way she looks.
Yeah. So, like, what Arya's like, oh, that makes sense.
It wasn't implied that she drinks it either. It was just like the
she
poison.
is the one that handles it. Yeah.
The poison.
She's handling it so much, that.
And Arya assumes that. She assumes that it's because she's the one that dumps the poison into the pool. I'm wondering, like, maybe the waif just, like, drinks a shot of apple cider vinegar every morning. You know what I mean? Keeps her skin
You
looking
think she's
pure.
taking hits of this?
No, not this. Like, a different poison. Like, the kindly man just says
okay.
it's because of the poison, and Arya thinks to herself, oh, that makes sense. She is the one that dumps the poison in the vat every day. But maybe the kindly man isn't talking about that. That's, like, an assumption that she attaches, right? So, again, we don't know, but maybe she's taking, like, a youth potion every day, right? I don't think so, but I think just pointing out that Arya's jumping the...
She's immediately buying this story that it's, like well, not even that. He said something very vague,
Exactly.
and she's immediately associating it with something very specific.
Yes, you said what I was trying to say way better.
Yeah.
Cool. So she starts mentioning that other people do come every once in a while. We kind of been talking about this a little bit throughout, but the ones she mentions are a fat fellow, a stern-faced man, a handsome man. He always had a different color beard, but his nose was always different, but he was always attractive, and I guess you can tell he's the same. Others came less often, the squinter, the lordling, and the starved man. And once the fat fellow and the squinter came together, and the kindly man told her to basically pour for them, and while she did, she was supposed to stand still as stone and be deaf and blind and not basically hear anything that was going on. And she's like, Syria taught me how to be still, and I was a cupbearer for Roose Bolton, so I got this. I
also
on lock.
don't know what the fuck they're saying, so it's cool.
Can't understand the language anyway, so definitely not listening. And yeah, she got so bored that she actually, standing there with the flag in her hand, she dreamed she was a wolf running free through a moonlit forest with a great pack howling at her heels. So, again, we know Arya has had dreams where normally it's when she's sleeping for Arya, like when she's actually, it seems like it's actually her in Nymeria. This one could just be like a daydream, but I'm wondering, is it actually pretty? Also, do we know if distance
It
matters?
felt like she might have slipped into her for a little bit.
Pause.
Like, she's fucking far away from Nymeria now. She's across the...
It does distance matter, to your point. Like, they're across the narrow... It is the narrow sea. It's not the wide sea. So.
It's true, but still. Yeah.
It's pretty fast. Yeah,
so,
come on.
She asked the kindly man, like, yo, are these people priests too? And, like, are those their real faces? And he just kind of answered the question with a question, like, well, what do you think?
Yeah. And she thinks no, but we don't get a confirmation one way or the other on that. And she's like, is Jaqen a priest, and is he coming back?
Who the fuck is Jaqen? I don't know that guy.
Is he being honest here?
Kyle?
I don't think he is Jaqen. I don't know that he knows Jaqen either. Because Jaqen could just be that dude's, like, alias at that time.
Exactly. Who knows if he was 4 other people before he became Jaqen since he left. If he was with the House of Black and White before, like, since he left before he met Arya, maybe he's gone through a bunch of names. Yeah, I think that's why. I feel like with the quote, it makes it seem like the kindly man is pretending like he doesn't know when he really does. But yeah, to me, it would make sense. That
I think any names just don't travel here.
He might like know the coin and be like, okay, there's like 7 people with this coin.
Yeah.
6 of them have been coming in pretty regularly. One of them I haven't seen in a while, so I can guess. So I can kind of guess who you're talking about. So, yeah, but yeah, exactly.
But again, like even if Jaqen, say Jaqen is Jaqen's name, like the kindly man, I don't think is ever going to be like, yeah, okay, that's.
Yep, I know who you're talking about.
Not going to give up his.
His that's Jaqen. That's his personality. Like that's not what they're about. Like
exactly.
We're no one.
We're no one. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's like, well, the thing is, I'm asking about it because he kind of promised me that if I ever wanted to find him again, I'd give somebody from Bravos this coin, right? The whole coin was if you want to find me again. That's what I also think is interesting. It wasn't if you want to go to a cool place or you want to learn how to kill people. It was if you want to find me again, here's the coin for it. He's like, well, she's like, I don't really care about that, but he did promise that he would show me how to do the face thing. And I've been here like scrubbing floors and bodies and stuff for a while now. Like, am I ever going to learn how to do that? Can you start teaching me how to change my face? And he's like, puff out your cheeks and stick out your tongue.
It was
Bang,
great.
Done.
It's a great line.
Face changed.
Exactly.
That was a great line.
And she's like, not like that. Come on, with magic.
He's definitely,
he did it.
He's dropped that joke before on the novices.
For sure. This is his go-to. Yeah. He's like the freshman teacher dropping the same joke on the kids every year.
Well, I mean, that's even when he made her practice then.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Time to start practicing. Which I think is like, I bet you if you practice for an hour every day, really like.
Oh, for sure.
You'd become a pretty good maybe manipulator. I don't know. I feel like my face betrays me in meeting, like in work all the time. Somebody says something stupid, and I'm like, what the fuck are you talking?
I'm a blusher, so like I'm fucked. Like my cheeks are. I don't know how you. I don't know if you can combat that. I'd be,
yeah. That's true.
It's not just lying. Like if I'm just uncomfortable.
That's what I was thinking. I was thinking, what characters have tells when they're lying, and the only ones I could think of is Arya chewing her lip, and Dunk thinks his ears are red. Like Dunk, like that's not something you can learn. Like, hey, look in the mirror and make your ears not go red. Like
you're screwed.
That's like blushing. That's
they
like,
just betrayed you. Can't. They betrayed you.
Yeah, you're just fucked. You got to wear your earmuffs all the time or something.
I mean, maybe you could like start telling lies. You just feel more comfortable, so you don't get uncomfortable.
Yeah, I guess you just get used to it. Yeah,
like that. That would be the only thing I think is like, which obviously does happen, right? Like moments that made me blush when I was younger probably don't make me blush now.
Yeah,
but.
Or you gotta like weave in a little truth, and I feel like Dunk tried to do that. Where he was like, "Oh yeah, like Arlen was like a knight, and he was my master," and just like don't tell the whole story type thing. Yeah,
yeah. So her next job was she started helping with preparing the bodies, and she starts thinking to herself like, "Why are these people? Why do they want to die?" And cool little old Nan story from back in the day, Winterfell times, or I guess just North times.
Yep.
Times got too rough for the old people that they're like. Which I guess it was kind of like a respect thing too in the North. It's like, look, I don't need to be eating this food. Like the harvest, let me bow out and let you guys eat more.
Exactly. It was during a long winter when they're running out of food. Yeah, the old men who'd lived beyond the years would announce they were going out hunting, and everyone would weep, and they all knew what was really happening, but nobody would stop them because basically everyone knew it had to be done, or else we're all gonna die, right?
Which is kind of like the Northmen too. Like we're sending people to the wall, like as well, like. Look, we can't feed you here. Like, go up there.
Yeah. I guess like in the long winters, we don't know how that works. Maybe we'll find out soon. Like, is it better there food wise at the wall? But
these guys seem old beyond that, even though like not worthwhile.
Yeah,
at the
these
wall,
guys probably walk as far as they can and puke, just fall over.
Yeah, and she's like, Arya wonders what the old Bravosi told their sons and daughters before they set off to the House of Black and White, which is different because like you don't. Again, that seems like a winter thing, like. There's not enough food to go around is why this was happening in the North. But you can see the parallels.
Yeah, but if there's not enough food going around and you're old as shit, like you're probably suffering too, right? Like it's like
yeah, that's true. You got like a huge extended family living in a house and just like, okay,
Grandma. All right, Grandpa, hit the road, Jack.
we got you a little canal boat down to the House of Black and White. We'll see.
I don't know that they're sending them off.
Well, that's why most people that come in here leave. It's because it's just family members send in like
bye dad.
They're like, wait, where am I? No.
Yeah. So next meeting with the kindly man, he's like, yo, your accent is trash. We need to get you out on boots on the ground, start learning this language a little bit better, and we're gonna send you to Brusco, start selling some clams, cockles, and scallops.
Yep, exactly. He's like, when you get there, he's an old guy with a bent back. Needs someone to push his barrow. He's a fisherman, but
you'll find him. Super easy to find.
Yep. He's like, when you get there, when Brusco asks, "Who are you?" and she's like, "No one." He's like, "Nah, that's not gonna work out here."
That's not what we're looking for at this point.
We gotta get you a name. All this time, yeah. Now you need a name.
Yep. He's like, "Got to make something up." And when she's like salty, and he's like, "Nah, some people know salty." He's like, "Okay, why is that a problem?" Right? And like, is her just changing her name and nothing else like gonna make, like, if she ran across this guy who was
supposed to be somebody fresh, I think is the idea here. Like, that's his whole thing. It's like, you need to pick a brand new fresh identity that nobody knows to be this person.
Sure, but like, she's like, the people in the Titan Daughter know Salty. Like, now you gotta be somebody new. So she's like, okay, I'll be Kat. Okay, well, what if you run across Denyo, who was the dude she was shooting the shit with the entire ride, the captain's son, who she was talking to, the only kid who knew common tongue. She was talking to the entire ride. If she's like, hey, that's Salty, he's like, nope, I'm Kat. Like, that's not gonna help just saying you have a different name, right? So at that point, it's just better to be Salty, right?
Well, she's gonna get some different gear on and shit too, right? Like,
I think that's part of the plan, is to be incognito, not run across these people. The person you are now is new. You don't have any connection to who you used to be. You're a new person.
Well, and again, if she's mastered some of the face stuff and she can like just hold a different like facial expression or something, then okay. But I feel like we didn't quite get that. She's been practicing, but is she there? There is a 2 months later, right before this happened. So she has been practicing this for a while.
Yeah.
2 months later, two moon turns later. But yeah. So okay, off to Brusco. Kat, kind of cool. Again, she's picking her mom's name. And then, what boat were you on? Nymeria. Name it after her wolf, which is again
just pulling back all the old strings she had.
Yep.
Well, Nymeria's had ships, right? So like, that's a good name.
Yep, exactly. You could see a ship named after Nymeria for sure.
Yeah. So she goes out as Kat, and she gets lost immediately. Not easy to find. I was joking when I said that earlier.
Well, I think the funny part about the ending is she's skipping around, like happy, thinking her list and shouting Valor Morgulis. So she's like, "Oh man, must die! Oh man, must die!" Right? Like happy and saying,
"Who's this crazy girl jumping around?"
Yeah, it's really weird to just be
probably
doing this.
It's nice to get outside been there for months now. Like, she's been outside one time. She had to strip down naked and throw everything into the river.
That's
for
true.
Sure. She finally feels like she found her home, or her place, at least. That's kind of like I said earlier about why she stayed. She wanted to find her place. Now I think she kind of accepts, or at least thinks she found her place.
Well, or again, the chapter started with her thinking about this list of names, right? And he's like, "Hey, you're not here because you're going to get to kill all the people you want to kill. That's not what we do." And then the chapter ends with her kind of starting to learn some of the skills that are going to let her become a badass, and finally getting let loose a little bit, like let off the leash a little bit, and she goes right back to the list of names and is like, Valor Morgulis, yes. Yeah. Like, everything is working out just as I planned. Kinda. Again, I don't know if the happy dance seems more because I think actually just right, because it says Arya turned to face up to the raindrops on her cheeks. So happy she could dance. So I think part of it is just like being outside for the first time. But yeah, there's definitely some morbidness in a 10-year-old girl being so happy she could dance while thinking about a list of names of people she could kill and saying out loud,
horrible people that she's seen do horrible things,
and shouting out loud, "All men must die, all men must die, all men must die." Right?
Definitely a weird thing to be running around screaming, but
yeah, especially if you're supposed to be covert.
Yeah, exactly. Not very spy with her mom's name.
Kyle, thoughts? There we go.
Cool. At the end of the chapter,
we got Kat back.
Yeah, what's she doing again?
No, I'm just kidding. Like, Kat as Arya.
No, I know. What's she doing again? I forget. She's got to go trail somebody for some reason. She's
got to go help.
She's pushing a wheelbarrow or something full of fish.
Brusco sells cat.
She's got a little food truck. Got a little food wheelbarrow.
She's not really even doing anything cool yet. But hopefully Brusco's not a lame dude, and he's got more to tell her than that. That's kind of my thinking here, is that this guy's going to be the kindly man again, kind of thing. Maybe not the kindly man, but he's going to pretend to be kind of, or a similar.
Brusco's an undercover guy.
Another face of him, yeah.
There we go.
Cool.
Interested. So it's a pretty cool chapter. I like to hear that. There's a lot of weird lore and stuff in there. That was fun. So
yeah, cool. And so we'll see Kyle in the next one for
Elaine.
What do you think that is?
Sansa.
Yeah, I hate this because we've had a Sansa chapter in this book. I was complaining to Jeff about this in the spoiler section. We've had a Sansa chapter.
I think you told me this too.
In this book already. So this is Elaine 1, Sansa 2, with the way I name them. And, like, I don't get it. Like, she was Elaine in the first one. Like, she was pretending to be Elaine in the first one. Why not just call the first one Elaine?
You know, I think
True.
you know, or you at least have a reason in your mind.
Not really. I think I know what you're alluding to, but I don't think it's a good reason. I don't like it.
Okay.
I think they should either have made up names the entire book or real names the entire book.
I don't disagree with you, actually, but
What's Arya 3 going to be named? Cersei 5?
Cat?
Cat, yeah. True.
I just rather it never be a fake
That's
name.
even more because we've had Cat.
Yeah. Jeff
But
says
yeah,
never
so-
a fake name.
Never a fake name would be my
Yeah,
my
I
vote.
kind of agree with that.
Well, here we are.
I also wouldn't be
Too
my
late.
actually maybe just no names at all. Just give me an actual chapter name. Like have this one called like Learning the Kindly Man or Chapter 10.
Nah, I like the POV. Like, you open the next page and you see the name in big letters, and if it's
Yeah, but sometimes that really turns me off.
yeah, if
I get turned off more than turned on.
That's your.
yeah.
That's a you
That's a me
exclusive
problem.
thing,
Yeah.
I think. There.
Yeah. So, but okay, cool. We'll see Kyle in the next one for Elaine 1, Sansa 2. We'll see Kyle, Jeff. See the rest of you guys in the spoil section. Bye, Kyle.
Fuck all.
Later, nerds.
Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert! Spoiler alert!
Bye, Kyle.
Fuck all. Thanks for hanging out with us.
See you on the next one for Elaine.
Fuck
One.
Lane.
Elaine 1, Sansa 2. That's the problem, is we've already had a Sansa, and we might have talked about this in the non-spoiler section. That's a problem. We're doing spoiler section out of the order this time, so. But yeah,
You guys will be all right.
we've already had a Sansa. You can't switch names in the middle. You know what I mean? Either go with a made-up name or
Well, she's changed personality now.
stick with it. She was Elaine last time too, though.
She was Elaine, that's true. But now she's really diving into that personality trait.
Yeah, I guess. All right, jumping to Arya. I just mentioned it, but yeah, we're recording out of order. We're doing spoiler section first. Might be a little weird. A lot of times there's some spoilers that kind of ring on our brains when we're going through it that we add to the list. So might be a shorter one. Anything we missed, we'll throw it in and talk about it next episode. Jeff, start me off. What we got?
So I think the biggest spoilers in it, I don't think they're gonna be things that Kyle pick. Maybe Kyle picks up on it. I mean, I got the feeling that Arya definitely she just goes blind, right? That's the last storyline that we have.
Yep.
Like she's definitely coming out of this thing as Arya Stark. Whether she's got to like fight people to get out or she kind of slips out the back door. I don't know how she gets out of it, but she's leaving this thing with some cool skills. Maybe she steals them. But again, it's hard to steal from these people because it's not like they can't see through her.
Yeah, so I guess that's one of the things is the show, just how this, I cannot see this going the same as the show, where she basically just walks away after killing one of the two priests of this place, and they're just like, okay, see you later.
Yeah.
Like,
all right, catch your voyage back to Westeros.
yeah, that doesn't seem like they're going to be okay with that. It's like, it sounds like once you're in the know, like once you're in the sanctum, you're in. There's no going back type thing. And I don't know if they've ever actually said that, but that's kind of the vibe. No half-assing this.
Yeah, I don't know. I just I don't know if she's gonna be like good enough to fight these people. She's obviously skilled, but so are these people, right? Like,
Yeah.
I don't think these guys are just give them the poison drink and go to sleep type of people, right? I don't know.
Well, we've heard other characters. We've heard Littlefinger and Tyrion and Cersei be like, "Oh, I could go get one of. Like, I could. That's an option, right? We could pay
Right.
a faceless man to go kill somebody for us." So,
Yeah. And Jaqen was kind of doing some different shit to kill him, right? Like,
yeah. Well, she was. All we really saw him kill wise was doing 3 deaths for Arya, which seems to be more of like a very religious zealot thing. Like, you stole 3 deaths, I'm going to pay that back. But again, we don't really see the same type of mentality with these guys, right? They're definitely a connection, but yeah, I mean, I think this is great. I think it's the faceless man is one of the things that we don't really have, even like where we're at the end of the books, we don't really have a lot of answers on. So
yeah.
that's why, like in the spoiler section, we're kind of just speculating the same way. But I guess the one thing I think is it doesn't go the same way as the show. Like, she's not just going to kill the waif and be able to leave no problem.
Do you think there's anything to the smell of the candles?
Yeah, the smell of the candles is weird because I think it's very similar to the experience Bran has when he eats weirwood paste, and that Dany has when she drinks the Shade of the Evening drink before she goes in the House of the Undying. Basically, they taste each of them taste a bunch of things that remind them of things they like Danny, I forget, is like sunshine and warm sand. I think I talked about this last time because one of them is like Drogo's seed, and Bran I think is probably similar stuff to this one. So I think the candles is definitely a big thing. We kind of talked about this last time because she had a similar quote in the last chapter as this one, when she kind of goes through the different smells.
Yeah.
But yeah, and again, I think some of this we're doing spoiler section first. I think some of this we'll probably be able to talk to with Kyle because, like I'm saying, we don't know much more. The one thing that I thought that I didn't write it down, but I'm remembering now, and I want to get it before I lose it, is when she thinks about her list in this chapter. Gregor, Dunson, Cersei, Elin, Marin, all those people. At one point, she's like, "I wish I knew the names of the Freys because I put them all on. I'm gonna kill them all." Right, and that is one thing in the show that she does do.
I mean, we all hope that she serves some meat pie to the Freys.
Yeah, I mean, again, I feel like they might be combining things there because in the books, we do have meat pie with Wyman Manderley, right? So do we need 2 meat pies? Probably not.
Well, do it some other way then.
Well, also, I think I'm fine if it's like Beric and Lady Stoneheart doing most of the Frey killing. Right? There is no Lady Stoneheart
until there's like 4 left, and Arya just kills. What's
again,
left
Arya wasn't really involved with. I mean, I guess she was right outside, so she was kind of involved. But yeah,
come on, they killed her mom and brother.
Yeah, but it wasn't a direct.
What?
You're right. I mean, I was gonna say like she wasn't there, but she was. She was just right outside. She was not quite
vengeance
there.
At its core.
Yeah. So yeah.
Yeah, I want to say one thing on the smells real quick. I kind of think it's almost like a Jack Sparrow compass, like what do you want most type of thing. And I don't know if like people walk in there and it just smells like straight death. Like they're like, oh gosh, like all right, like let me get this piece because my life smells awful. And then Arya's like, this smells like Winterfell. I want to go home type stuff.
Well, so I guess one of the other things is like, what does the kindly man know? How much of his shit is magic, right? I don't think there's anything in this chapter that's super special that he knows.
Yeah.
That he shouldn't know, right? Like her saying the list, she's literally whispering it. Yeah, she's in a room by herself, but that doesn't mean shit in King's Landing. Why should that mean shit here, right? Especially the new person. If there's a bugged room in the House of Black and White, like maybe there's only 5. Not every room is bugged. Not every room has a very thin wall where you can hear right through it. But if there is one, it's the one that they're putting new people in, right? So no wonder if she's whispering this names at night that they hear her. Along those lines, I noted that when she hides Needle, she moves the stone, puts Needle in, and literally out loud, she says it out loud. It's like, no one will know where you are but me.
Yeah.
Which again, she's on the steps. There shouldn't be anyone. She's outside, but like, what if there's a tunnel right underneath these stairs? Yeah. Right.
Well, I actually thought that was a play on the no one thing, and it was more like, I'm not gonna be no one. I'm gonna be Arya Stark even after this thing. That's the vibe I got.
That's obviously what the secret hiding Needle whole thing means, and you're saying even that line. But I'm thinking like literally, we heard like, oh, the second floor is where these people sleep. The third floor is where these people sleep. And again, I don't have that part of my notes right in front, so I don't remember. But I'm thinking Arya's running up the steps into this temple. What if when she moves this stone, she's literally like sticking this into Jack someone's the kindly
bedroom.
Man's room.
She's jackhammering into someone's bedroom right there.
And then whispers like into the hole, like, no one will know where you are, but and kindly man's like,
I do think they have some like why is the waif 36 years old and looks like a child?
Yeah,
like it's because she's drinking the poison. Like that's weird. Like what's she doing to the poison?
Well, yeah, they don't make it clear, but he says like it's because of the poison, and Arya's like, oh, that makes sense. She's the one that dumps the poison in every night. So I guess Arya's assuming just from like handling it and being the one.
Is it like a fountain of youth type of thing? Like you're stealing the time that they had left?
Oh, that makes sense. Yeah,
like, that was the vibe I got.
That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. That's interesting.
I don't know how else it would, like, other than that, the poison would kill you. Like, unless you're stealing the years from these people, I don't understand.
Yeah.
Or she just has a glamored child face, right? Like, I'm confused. I don't want the show to influence me in my mind, even though it did a lot. I feel like kind of, like, every time I think of the kindly man, I just think of Jaqen, because that's who it was in the deal.
I guess that we, like, let me ask the one part in the show that I think is cool in the show, but again, we can agree, I don't think it'll ever happen. Well, I guess let me see what you think. I don't think it'll happen in the books, is the part when, like, she literally starts, like, ripping through faces, and there's, like, 20 faces on somebody, and it's, like, her, and then it's Jaqen, and then it's her again, and then I don't think that ever happens, but, like, I think there's one point when the waif is there and Jaqen's there, and then at one point they're both cycling through Jaqen's faces.
Well,
and they both at one point hit Jaqen. Like, if they're swapping faces, there's actually some skin face
tucking
manipulation here, where it's not just like snap your fingers, new face. Like, there's some shit you have to do, and if one person has Jaqen, there can't be another Jaqen.
There can't.
At least that's how I see it.
I do agree with that, unless there was like twins, right? Like that's I guess where you could kind of draw some So, but like the way he said, like, no, this is just like this is glamour. It's not witchcraft. Maybe they have a witchcraft side to them. I'm not buying that.
Well, it sounds like there's
think
levels, I feel like is what he's saying. And Arya experiences it. I think she gets a face at one point. They basically cut her skin around her whole face and tuck another. It sounds like, again, it sounds like
I do remember that, which I'm considering that glamour, right? To make that face look real.
Sounds like they're doing some Hannibal Lecter face swapping.
Sure, but it doesn't look like a leather
There's
face,
some magic
right?
in
Like
there too, yeah.
there's something from taking that leather-looking face and making it real. That
and she gets the memories of the face she's wearing. She like so. There's definitely magic going on in there. But yeah, I guess to bring it back to one of the things you mentioned at the very beginning is one of the acolytes is blind.
Yeah, yep. And there's another play into like her future when he's like, I wish you were blind and deaf. When she was like standing in the meeting.
Be blind and deaf in here. Don't see or hear anything. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, what the quote is, though the youngest acolyte was blind, he had charge of the candles. He would walk the temple in soft slippers, surrounded by the murmurings of the old women who came each day to pray. Even without eyes, he always knew which candles had gone out. He has the scent to guide him, the kindly man explained. And the air is warmer where the candles burn, he told Arya. He told Arya to close her eyes and try it for herself. I think that's funny because he tells her to try it for herself, and then it just moves on to like the next part of the chapter, but like we know she's going to go blind, right?
Yeah.
So she's going to try for herself whether she wants to or not. And it's interesting because when she goes blind, it seems like a punishment. I'm pretty sure it's right after she kills
the Night's Watchman, right?
Yeah, what's his name? Darian
the singer.
Yeah.
What
he kills him, and that's exactly, it seems like punishment for that, but if maybe it's just a stage they all go through, right? Like all acolytes get blind.
I do think it's a powerful tool for sure.
And the other part about, I guess, circling back to what I was saying earlier about what does the kindly man actually know that he shouldn't know? I think the only thing is in the last chapter, he knows her name. She goes through all her list of fake names, and he basically knows no, and when she says the right one, he knows to stop. Maybe he's just reading her face on it, because she does have some tells. Like she bites her lip like 4 times in this chapter as she lies. Like a chapter about like trying to control your face. Literally, it'll be like, who are you? No one. She bit her lip, and it's
as she twitches her eye or
exactly.
Like that.
Well, I feel like biting the lip is a tell we know for Arya too. Like we've heard that before.
Yeah. I do think the weird thing is like if the kindly man knows more about Arya than he's giving on, like why let her try to serve? Why, unless you can really think that you can flip her into becoming the Waif Junior.
Well, I think you really have to go big picture here, right? Like, why is Arya even here? Jaqen just gave this coin to a random girl. Did he really not, like, was there something special he saw in her, which is why he gave this to her? Or was it really just because she freed him? He was like, I owe you all this now. Like, I guess the question, like, one of the big questions I would have is, okay, so Jaqen, she owes him 3 lives. He gives the 3 lives. And in the last one, he kind of cheats and gives her way more lives because they end up killing a lot of people to free the Norsemen, which is her last life. And then he swaps his face right in front of her. Like, mission completed. Just walk off and swap your face 2 blocks away, bro. Why does he do it in front of her and give her this coin? She's a 10-year-old.
To give her the intrigue, I guess. To give her the bug to want to figure out what the fuck that was.
But why, right? Would you just do this to any little kid that you helped? Like, you know what I mean?
Well, I think Arya's showcased that she has some balls to her. Like she'll go kill some people. She'll do what's necessary.
Like, think about this. You're Jaqen. You're one of, like, the most deadly assassins ever. And just because a 10-year-old girl had some spunk, like, we're gonna, you know what? Let's indoctrinate you into this society. Like, I guess the only thing I can think is it, we hear with one of the North people, I think, I forget who it is. We hear with one of the wargs in the North that a warg can always sense another warg because he can tell John's a warg.
Okay.
My only thought is maybe, especially because when she's blind, that kind of makes her warg becoming better because she starts warging through a cat to see things in the room that she's in. So I'm wondering if, like, the part of them making people blind is because this is like a training for wargs or people with some type of extra ability, right? To me, that's the only kind of real reason why you would try and send Arya across the sea, is if, like, she's special more than just she's got some spunk to her. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, if you have to recruit, like if Jaqen's also on a mission, like, all right, I got to go to Old Town. Like, let me actually try to find some recruits on the way as well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you're passing up Arya, like, as a recruit.
Yeah.
So,
and Jaqen could know by the time, I guess the other hint to why this was making sense when I was thinking about this while I was reading, I think I've argued before that when Jaqen kills Whis, remember how he does it?
The dog.
The dog. I've argued that we've heard about a bunch of poisons, one being basilisk venom or basilisk blood, that if you like give it to an animal, it'll make the animal go crazy and like even kill its owner. So I was suggesting that was a way this could have happened. But Jaqen was in the black cells. So like it's not like he brought basilisk venom with him from Bravo. So either he was able to make this poison and we don't know how complicated that is, or he warged into the dog and killed Whis himself.
Or he went to the Maester's room at Harrenhal and took it from his...
Or that, I guess. Yeah.
You know.
That's true.
I don't know. There's other ways around.
But I guess like one of the... So I guess counter to that, one of the things we hear about the House of Black and White, Crescent says, and you're right that basilisk venom might not be the same, but Crescent in his prologue chapter in Clash of Kings, when he has the Strangler, he's like, there's not many places that know how to make this. Pretty much the Citadel, like not even many Maesters, but the Citadel itself knows how to make it, and the House of Black and White. And maybe like a Shy. Like he lists like some obscure ass places. So if basilisk venom is similar, it might not be just like a on every Maester shelf,
sure,
at Harrenhal type thing. But yeah, that's a valid point. There are other ways then.
I guess I got two quick talking points. I don't even know if they're not spoilers, but her like wanting to be called Cat, and then like she came off the Nymeria ship, like it's kind of red flaggy. Like if you're the kindly man, you're like, all right, like you're not really jumping full into this thing. But
yeah,
like I do like, all right, you need like half truths, right? Like that's when you really start believing in it. So like maybe that's part of the game is like her stealing the parts that people won't. You know, she can tell the truth through it, right? But she's not lying. You know what I'm trying to say?
Well,
like, is that part of like the training? Like, all right, pick pieces of yourself that you can bring with you so you can lie better, right?
Maybe like you're kind of saying like all the best lies are based on truth. So if you go to absolutely no one and you have nothing to your personality, you have nothing to like base lies off of, like like Arya's basing her name off her mom and the ship her character came from off her direwolf / this other character.
Yeah, like if she was like, no, I rode on Nymeria, like maybe that wasn't a lie. Like maybe at one point she did hop on Nymeria's back and like physically rode Nymeria, right?
So she could pass the polygraph if she needed to because she's technically telling the truth, even though the way it sounds is coming off different. Yeah, I didn't think about it that way. That makes sense. That's cool. I don't know if that's something they're looking out for. I thought more where you're going with that is, I think it's very clear that Arya, like you said, I think earlier in this was like Arya is not becoming
she's
no
not
one.
letting go of Arya.
Yeah, she's not becoming no one. To me, is she fooling the kindly man about that though? Like he continues her training. Does he actually think that she will become no one?
Not yet. I don't.
Or is he like us, where he's like, "There's no way." But even though I'm telling her she needs to become no one, that really isn't required. There's something else, or you know what I mean? Like we say this to get them thinking a certain way, but kind of like you're saying, like they don't actually have to become no one. Like I don't know.
Yeah.
To me,
the only thing I can think of is like she can get so close to like be at the point where there's got to be some kind of ritual where, I don't know, something crazy, like you actually like peel your face off and your face is gone, right? Like you don't own a face anymore.
Yeah. That
she's like, nah, fuck that, I'm out.
Yeah. Where they're all just like walking around skeletons on the 3rd floor.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe.
So that's all I can think of. And then the last thing is her finding the room of weapons, the room of wardrobe. Like I think that's more so to like play dress up.
Well, yeah, I think it's two things. We have a lot of dead people that are showing up wearing clothes and armor and having pockets full of coins, and
which becomes our dress up
deal. So now we're like the world's greatest Hollywood prop room because none of it's props. It's all real shit from people of all walks of life that we can just wear their shit. Exactly.
It's interesting that she thought her next thought was, "Where's the bank at?" Basically. Well, where's the safe?
I guess that's another question that fans definitely speculate is what are the faceless men doing with their money?
Yeah.
Like we've heard, if you are going to pay them to kill somebody, it costs a lot. Like we've heard, I think Littlefinger says it would cost as much to have them kill like a merchant, like a respected merchant, as it would to get a decently sized sellsword army.
Yeah.
And then Littlefinger says something like, I can't even think about how much it would cost to get them to kill like a princess, right? Which insinuates the pricing matters on how important of a person they're killing. But like one merchant is the price of half an army. If they're getting any decent contracts, if they're getting one a month, they're raking it in, right? That's a ton of money. Plus all the gold that just like falls on their floor when people drink from this pool. So they should have a huge stockpile. What are they doing with it? Right. And part of that, I guess, goes into the history lesson here when we hear about how the Faceless Men got started. And he ends that with Arya gets mad. He's like, he shouldn't have killed the slaves. And she's like, he should have killed the masters. And I forget exactly what he says. He's like, oh, they got theirs eventually, right? Let me see. He would bring the gift to them as well, but that is a tale for another day, one best shared with no one, right? So that's what the kindly man tells Arya about him bringing the gift of mercy to the masters of Valyria. So what does this mean? This is a huge line.
My thought was he the reason the volcano blew up?
Exactly. People think that the Faithless Men basically here are claiming to have been involved with the doom of Valyria.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's what it was trying to imply. I don't know how this guy does it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. But yeah, that's the vibe I got.
Kind of cool though. So yeah. Last one I had is Arya eating people? So there's this part of the chapter where she goes through literally like a whole paragraph of all the awesome seafood that they have available in Bravos and how it's the best she's eaten in so long, and she goes to bed full every night because they have all the seafood and the cook even cooks the seafood with special spices. Then it's like, oh, and one time I was wondering what they do with the bodies as I was eating pork.
Yeah.
And,
is this pork?
Well, it's like where you talked about all the food you have access to here in Bravos, and there weren't any swimming pigs, right? It was all seafoods, cockles, clams, shellfish.
Yeah, but you can't eat seafood every day.
I don't know. I think there are a lot of cultures that do, right? The ones that are on the coast.
I think you still gotta change it up I mean, just think about the people on like Alone. Like they eat. We're back to Alone. Sure. They eat fish. Sometimes they're like, God damn it, I need a grouse or something. Right. I need to change up my diet, right? Because it gets too rich, and then you just get like the runs because you ate too much fish.
Yeah, that's fair. I guess the other line is Arya, is this actually people or is it pork, is about this time in the next book when we're catching back up with Bran. Bran is with Cold Hands traveling north, and they're getting followed by some people, or there's something going on. I forget exactly what it is, but Cold Hands like, you guys stay here. I got to ride back and figure out what's going on. And Bran works into Summer and kind of follows Cold Hands. I don't think he actually sees what happens, but he comes across like these dead bodies, people bodies. And then Cold Hand shows back up and he's like, hey, I found some pork while I was gone. And some of the bodies are like missing legs.
Oh.
And then they cook up the pork.
And then they eat Jojen.
And then they eat Jojen paste. But yeah, but that is Bran eating bodies that Cold Hands is telling him is pork, and it's like guaranteed that's bodies. So
I think that's a pretty crazy callback then. Like I would believe that they're eating pork. Or man.
Here now, right?
Yeah.
It's more likely that Arya is eating pork because we know Bran is. And they're both being told pork. For sure. Especially because
and then I think like you want the parallels between Bran and Arya, the whole deal, like
well, like when did Bran really become able to? I think it's interesting. I think we hear the first time Arya in this chapter is able to warg while not asleep. When she's serving for the people and like holding the flagon of wine or whatever, she says like she got so bored like being so still that she started to like her mind started to wander, and she imagined she was like a giant wolf racing through a field with a massive pack. Yep. And maybe her mind was just wandering, but I think she's actually for the first time warging into Nymeria while awake, right? Which again, when did that happen for Bran? That happened for Bran when he was locked down inside the crypts, right? When Theon came and they like faked ran away and then hid in the crypts. He's stuck in a dark place, hasn't gone outside in a really long time. Like doesn't really have much to do, and he's just like being still doing nothing all day. That's when Bran's kind of like mind went to wander, and it kind of just like connected,
like in a sensory deprivation tank.
Exactly. So then Arya also, she says like she's in here she doesn't know how long, but these people have come and gone and come and gone and come together and then left together. And she's like, oh, and then I went outside for the first time. And it's like, what? Right. You've been in here like smelling these weird candles and shit? Like,
can they even tell when a day passes? Doesn't sound like there's any windows here.
Yeah, probably not. That's a good point. But yeah, so I think there's a lot of Bran and Arya parallels. And again, I think these two characters are two that are probably suffering some of the most from, I mentioned it to you recently, like the missing 5-year time gap. Right, you can see like George probably would have snuck these chapters into the end of Storm of Swords, and like we might have gotten this much. And then it's like there's a part in this chapter where it's like 2 months went by, and then he sent her to Brusco. You know what I mean? Right. And that might be like 5 years went by, and Arya is a different girl coming out. You know what I mean? The other side. Same with Bran,
I still don't like a 5-year time gap.
Well, I mean, we're not getting it. So
even if he wanted to do it and it worked, I just think that's a weird tool to use.
Yeah,
a
plot
weird
device.
vehicle.
Yeah. Yep, but that was all I had spoiler wise.
Maybe we'll come back if we, again, we did this before, Kyle.
If there's any really pressing stuff, if not, we'll just write them down and bring them up next time. So, or if there's anything we missed, throw them in the comments. We'll bring them up next time there.
Yeah, all right, sounds good.
See you guys in the next one for Elaine 1, Sansa 2. Bye bye.